Yeah, they tune in, it's the Dude Bash rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode and journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The Dude Bash, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Life's effects, intertwined, wearing the crown. Podcast kings and queens, we wearing the gown.
I don't consider myself now in any shape, form, or fashion much of a coward, but man, when I was a little kid, I was a puss. I remember I watched Freddy Krueger, and or The Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was afraid to go to sleep. Like that man will kill me in my sleep.
That dude was scary, man. He was scared to everybody because, like we always talked. You got to sleep. Everybody else you can run from, but you go to sleep at some point.
And then I watched The Exorcist one time, and that ruined me. I don't think I got sleep for a few days.
I laughed my ass off at that movie when I was for some reason. I don't know why. The funniest part, do you know what she did? Do you know what your cutting daughter did? Man, I laughed for 3 days over that.
Well, and two, I think, 'cause my dad was all the time working. He was a structural iron worker, so he's gone a lot. And I get to stay with my grandparents, and both of my grandmothers were like super duper religious. So, like I was always told, the devil's going to get you, the boogeyman's going to get you. And having, the native end of it too. See, I was always told, like my grandmother, if I whistled at night, she would throw something at you to get you stopped. If she wasn't within arm's reach, if you was whistling, it was dark, she'd smack you. If she couldn't smack you, she'd throw something at you.
That's awesome.
You don't do that. You'll attract evil. And it never was like a certain thing. She would just say you'll attract evil. And then another one I was told by, some old Cherokee men that we run around with was there wasn't in their belief there wasn't a hell. So if you died and you wasn't good enough to go to heaven, your spirit just lingered around your body, and then you got to watch your family go through all their trials and tribulations, never get to speak to them, but you could see them. And but they would hang around their body, and they would try to take over your soul. So stayed away from graveyards at night. So
Yeah.
I grew up with an innate fear of graveyards at night, and didn't whistle in the dark. Now, I was told you can go through a graveyard at night if you've got a dog with you, because dogs have a pure heart and evil's afraid of them.
Oh, yeah. Everybody but Travis's dog. His dog doesn't have a pure heart.
No, my dog's evil, but he does do a circle when you flip him a bird. And he's a pug.
Yeah, but I you know what? All right, everybody, we got our good buddy Adam Cooks joining us tonight. And Adam, I think, are you full-blooded Cherokee? Just a lot of Cherokee?
I think when my dad was a commissioner of Indian Affairs in the mid-90s under Governor McWhorter, and they did family research, and I'm like 3/8.
3/8.
So, yeah.
Well, that's more than half, right?
No, it's a little less than half.
Sorry, I failed math.
Dad was 5/8, and I'm 3/8. So.
Oh, well,
He's an eighth less than half, so you wasn't far.
Yeah.
Well, he's close to it. But anyhow, Adam,
He's got more than I've got.
I don't know what I've got, man. Probably a bunch of Pollock or something like that. But
hey, my mom is Scottish. My mom's white, like born with a 790 credit score. Thinks mayonnaise is spicy. She's white.
Straight up cracker, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, he's spicy sometimes.
She's got her own bowling ball.
Oh man. Well, Adam is I guess I would call him a local historian, something like that. He's real into history and Indian lore and stuff like that. He's going to join us tonight, and he's going to tell us a lot about these Appalachian ghosts going around. If you're from these hills around here, there's a lot of local legends and ghost stories and good stuff like that. So Adam, he's got a few stories he's going to tell us tonight, buddy. So, kick it off, and when you get done with the story, we'll talk about it and all that good stuff. So, go for it, buddy. What you got for us tonight?
Well, I think a lot of people, when it comes to our region, the Appalachian Mountains, not to be confused with the Appalachians, when people call it that, it makes you want to throw things. But in the Appalachian Mountains, you got people need to understand is a very diverse mix of people that came into these mountains: Scottish, Irish, Dutch, German, and they mixed with the people that were already here. Um, so that's why I always got confused when they try to call the hill people racist and all that. Well, we were intermingling long before it was a popular thing to do, and with that, you have a mix of two different cultures and identities coming together. And not only that, but you have a place like the Appalachian Mountains, the Smokies, the Cherokee National Forest, and those it's a weird place to be at night for any of us. And one place included that we're going to talk about later that we're all familiar with because we all grew up in the same area as Brock Holler. And
Yeah, baby.
if you've been through there at night, it's sometimes for the wrong people, it's a scary place to be. And but with that and all those superstitions and things, stories are bound to come of that. And there's some things that are explainable, and there's some things that aren't. Uh, like I said, a lot of those old mountain people were superstitious. I was listening to y'all's podcast about paranormal hunting and things of that nature, and who had the one where the windows come down? Wasn't it you, Daniel?
Matt had all the windows come down at his house.
Yeah. See, an old Appalachian uh, tradition, if somebody was laying in a house on their deathbed and they died, you opened the window for their soul to escape. So, you know, maybe that whatever was in his house was trying to keep from escaping.
Yeah,
Didn't,
I don't know.
didn't want to get out. Didn't want to go to the
Yeah.
light.
And there was some
Oh.
the whole salt over your shoulder that goes back to Lot's wife. You don't look back, just throw salt over your shoulder. There's another where you didn't rock a chair that didn't have anybody in it,
I believe that one.
and you didn't sweep under people's feet. There's all kinds of things that just mixed and intermingled, and then you can see later it bled on into both cultures. So, and there's several stories about these mountains and hills that go on, for a long time. And
Well, just tell me about, uh, most of us are from Inglewood. Travis is from Etowah, but everybody knows what Brock Holler is, man. And I know a lot of people, I put it out on Facebook, out on social media, that we was going to talk about Brock Holler in one of these shows. And we'll talk about it right now because you probably know more about it than everybody does. But,
Right.
everybody's heard, this happened there, that happened there. But, I've never have been able to get a definitive story. So what's your take on Brock Holler?
Okay, so when I was younger, I'd always heard that, and what I had heard as a child was that there was a young lady that lived in Brock Collar, and her last name was Brock, and she had a miscarriage, which caused her to go insane and lose her mind. And then she hung herself, and then she haunted the hollers and hills. Well, that wasn't the case at all. I actually tracked the story down, and uh, it actually came down to the historical end of it. I talked to uh, my old youth leader, uh, Gail Rogers. She told me that her grandmother was actually at the forefront of the original spook story that actually came about. So here's the real skinny. Like, this is the best that I can track down, like true to form, definitive. Like, there are actually witnesses still here to tell about it. Is that her grandmother was a small girl, lived at home, and real late at night one night, um, a man whose last name was Brock. I can't remember his first name. I'll dig it up and share it on here later. But he came knocking on the door, and he said, "There's been a murder. Go get the sheriff." So her father left the house, went and got the sheriff, and he left. Apparently, after he told him there's been a murder, he left. He just said, "There's been a murder in the holler," and poof, be gone. Well, the sheriff came by to investigate. Now, her grandmother and her great grandfather and great grandmother all saw this man knock on the door, tell him there was a murder, and leave. When the sheriff's department found the body in Brock Holler, he'd been beaten to death and shot in the chest, and there was no blood trail going back to the house. So, by all accounts, this man died right where he was. There was no blood going from the scene. There's no blood coming into the scene. All the blood that was there was where he was at. Now,
This happened in Brock Holler there.
yes. Now,
Hmm.
the Brock family's owned it for several, or had owned it for several years. I was actually going to try to go to Brock Holler tonight and film it from there, and I had a little hiccup with the home or with the landowner, so it's no big deal. But that apparently is like they're witnesses to that story.
Wow,
That
that's crazy.
yeah, that a dead man knocked on the door and said, "Hey, go tell the sheriff to pick up my body up." Well, I mean, not in those words, but dead man told him there's a murder, and then they find him later.
So
Well, go ahead.
he actually identified that's the man who knocked on my door. That's what happened.
Yes,
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I tell you this, my brother-in-law swears up and down, the bridge going into Brock Holler. He says you can go in there and you can put a candy bar on that bridge, and it's about what, maybe 2 miles long, the road actually. I mean, I consider when you get to the end,
yeah, about a mile and a half.
something like that. He said you can drive to the end of that road, come back, and that candy bar will be gone. He said it never fails; it'll be gone. And I know for a fact myself, back in the day, I used to go through there trying to get something to happen. I always heard if you done stuff in reverse, that would always get ghosts stirred up. So sometimes I'd go through there at 1 o'clock in the morning and actually drive backwards through the whole thing to try to get something stirred up. But I tell you, one night we was in there messing around, and I did. Yeah, you see that where people would hold up the lanterns like this right here,
Yeah,
Tommy lanterns. I had one of them follow me through that right there one night. And you can't see any lights behind you. I mean, there's enough trees, it blocks all the street if there's street lights or anything like that. And once you get back there in that neighborhood. So I don't know what it was, but it looked just like somebody holding up a lantern, walking behind me in there. Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever seen.
The only weird thing that I've ever had happen is I was an avid coon hunter as a youngster, and I went out there and I saw a lot, and I thought, well, there's somebody else is hunting out here, but there wasn't no dogs. And I shone my light. Coon hunters had a way of flipping their lights on and off to identify, other hunters.
Right.
And then the light turned red and disappeared, and I never did see the person, so I don't know if it was. I can't explain what it was, and I can't say it was something, but I can't say that it wasn't.
That's
Yeah.
usually how it is.
And on another occasion, I had a buddy of mine that was with me, and this is just a funny story. I stopped the truck because I never did think it was haunted, and I stopped the truck, and he said, "Cookie, what are you doing?" I said, "I just enjoying the moonlight." He said, "Turn this truck on now." I said, "Why, are you scared?" And he pulled a gun out and he said, "I love you." He said, "But I'll drive this truck out of here with or without you." So I fired it back up and drove out of there.
Get spooked, man.
Yeah, I know. And you guys might remember it happened when I was in the 8th grade. I think I'm 4 or 5 years younger than y'all. I'm 41.
You're 3 years younger than me.
Okay. So when I was in 8th grade, y'all were probably in high school. Ted Watson, a preacher man that lived at the other end of Brock Holler, was taking his son to school and watched a rabbit run across the bridge. Well, he wondered if it fell to its death or hit the water or what. So after he dropped his son off, he come back through there, and there's a dead body laying there in the water. That's absolutely true. There's police reports of that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and they said that they believe he died from a fall. So I don't know if he fell off the bridge or fell off of something, or if the mafia dumped him off. I mean, nobody knows.
Yeah, cornbread Costa Nostra used to run through here. They got my uncle back in the day.
Yeah, but yeah, and I remember that happening. And then there's another story of Brock Holler that there's a Confederate militia had made camp out there, and it had upset the people who owned it, who were Brocks. and they run through and killed all of them, run their livestock off.
So
Oh, okay.
I was reading while you was talking. You said something about the cattle running off.
Yeah, the Confederate militia had had attacked the Brock family and run them off and killed all their cattle and horses.
Ah,
So,
yeah, because Tennessee was about 50-50. They said you could sign up for the Union or the Confederate at Tennessee Wesleyan. It wasn't Tennessee Wesleyan Inn, but it was a women's college.
yeah,
But you could sign up for either or in the same room,
yeah,
either Union or Confederate.
and apparently there was a hospital on the side of the old college, and it's apparently haunted also.
Well, the Keith Mansion, away from where I live, is supposed to be too.
Right.
It was supposed to be in a Civil War hospital, and now that White House, what they call the White House, it's up there behind where Plaza or where American Cinema used to be. It's a church now, but right behind Save a Lot,
Right.
that house on that hill.
Yeah.
Well, they said that that General Sherman, when he come through here, he saved that house, and that's where he set up his headquarters on his way to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And well, he was on his way to Savannah, but he come through here on his way to Atlanta, and he stopped for a week or two, something like that. And there's been a few people die up there at that house.
Yeah. I know my grandmother, she hated the mention of William Tecumseh Sherman. You talk about Sherman, she'd get mad.
Yeah. He had the middle name, though. She didn't like him just for the middle name.
She didn't like nothing about him.
Well, I mean, he did do him pretty dirty. I mean, but war's war. I mean, he burnt every house and used it for firewood, except for the nice houses, because that's a place for the officers to sleep. He'd use them as headquarters. But he would tear up the railroads and twist the ties around trees.
Yeah,
so they couldn't reuse them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I was taught to hate the guy, but militarily, he did his job. I mean, it broke the South's back.
Yeah. So is that a train?
Yeah, that's on my end. I didn't realize that you could hear it that good.
That's the first time I've ever heard a train come by your house that loud. Dang.
Now, I will say,
they come by so often that I don't even hear them anymore.
Yeah, you're probably used to it by now.
Yeah.
I used to live right on the tracks when my daughter was a toddler, and it just got to where you just didn't. That's the first time I ever lived in town. It got to where you just didn't register that they were there.
That's where my mama and papa, they lived probably 200 yards away from the track. And, back when I was a kid, they ran on a pretty tight schedule. I mean, there was a train coming through at least once an hour, if not more often than that. And, they had, where my grandmother had relatives that come up from Texas, and they live out on a farm in Texas. Ain't nobody, it's out in the middle of nowhere. And so my great grandfather was sleeping in the front room, and the next day he went to breakfast, and they were asking him how he slept. He said, "I didn't." And he told them how many trains had come through that night. He said he couldn't.
Makes sense. Yeah, I remember all you guys from when I was little. I always looked up to you guys because I was real good friends with Daniel's brother Ricky. So I'd go over there and I'd see Travis there from time to time, and Matt. So that's part of the other reason. Do what?
I think you went to school with my wife too, didn't you?
Yeah, I went all 4 years of high school with Alicia. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, I've been looking at some of these stories you've been posting on Facebook, and one of them caught my eye, and it was the story of Knoxville's Dr. Frankenstein. Do you remember anything about that one?
Yeah, I came about that on accident. I was looking for a different story and stumbled across that one, and that one was wild.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
He was supposed to have been a Presbyterian preacher and had thought, and he was inspired by Lazarus. But, with all due respect to, the Knoxville Frankenstein, he's not Jesus. I wouldn't,
So the story is that he put electricity into this dead body basically, and it started to breathe. Is that kind of how that was?
That's the report that I got, and that's a long time ago. So I mean, if he hit certain parts of the body just right, like a TENS unit, it might have made his pecs move. I don't know that it was really breathing, but that's what the report said.
Is this for real? Wow.
Yes, there's a medical examiner's uh, report and everything after it was over, and he got in trouble for it. It was a big deal.
Well, I've read all of them up through I think Tuesday. I think I'm about 2 or 3 stories behind. But man, I've really enjoyed reading all of them. The guy that went hunting and his wife saw the feather.
Yeah,
that's cool stuff.
yeah, that's an old Appalachian tale too. And I'm going to do one on Jeffrey's Hill. It's a pretty neat. I've been back in that country, and man, I don't know if U.S. Treasury prints enough money for me to go back in there, but be looking for it. It'll be on there again. The one I did last was the Legend of the Sukaloo. It was like a Cherokee version of Bigfoot, but he would shapeshift in the same way that y'all have heard of a Wendigo. It would shapeshift back from human to Bigfoot form.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool.
I didn't know we had all this going on up in the mountains, baby. I'm gonna stay down in the city.
well, this week I was going to kind of concentrate on Cherokee stories, and then for the last week I was going to do like local stuff. So, and some of the Cherokee stories, like there's the story of the Raven Mockers. It was when the old man used to tell me it when I was a kid, and it used to, I mean, just freak me. It'd freak my shit out, man. I didn't want to go outside, daylight or dark. Spearfinger, the Cherokee witch Spearfinger was another one. Uh, the Legend of Stone Coat, that was creepy because he had a staff that he would hold in his hand. He'd hold it out looking for hunters, and he'd hold it out and he'd bring it up to his nose and sniff it like a dog. And
Yeah,
like that
I read that one.
yeah, and that would lead him to uh, a camp or anything. He'd just kill everybody there and eat their livers.
Lord, really?
They were wild stories.
This place is wild, baby. What about one of them caught my eye is the witch of Fentress County. What can you tell us about that one?
That was a man. Yeah, that was a dude. But they said he was a witch. And like they'd say that he'd get caught staring at things, and then things would happen to those things. Like he'd go by and just admire somebody's farm, and if they yelled at him or something, he left next few weeks. Like they'd get weevils real bad, or a blight or something would happen. They put him on trial. It was Tennessee's only witch trial.
Yeah, that's what struck my mind. Was Tennessee's actually had a witch trial. That's crazy. What come out of the trial? What'd they do to him? Burn him at the stake or anything?
The judge saved him. He said that he didn't see any evidence of any wrongdoing, and they couldn't prove anything other than supernatural. And he said if you live closer to the word, maybe it wouldn't have affected your farm so bad. And he was
what they did is they sentenced him to living in Nyota for the rest of his life. That's a lifelong sentence right there.
That's pretty rough.
Shoot me now. I got to live in Nyota, man.
Hey, we lived up there in 2016, man, and me and the daughter, we'd go to the dollar store and just walk around just to have something to do, man.
For a change of scenery.
I was miserable. I hated living in Nyota.
There's nothing in Nyota but bad times and broke lottery tickets or something like that.
I'm telling you now, I worked there for a while. And
that's when I was living there. Hell, I'd go down there and try to catch Cookie in there in the office just to have something to do.
And I was glad to see him.
Yeah, he in there trying to do work, catch criminals. I'm in there, hey man, you want to play tic-tac-toe or something, or paper, rock, scissors, anything.
Go speak down, try to get him to chase you or something, have something to do.
Anything. Cash come up and went, well, yeah, I'll play tic-tac-toe. I've already locked up Otis for the night, so.
Yeah.
All right. I got another one here, buddy. What about the siren of French Broad Rivers? Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. And so the siren of the French Broad. If you read into that story, like there's a pretty new account of that. Like I think 2001, where this man was camping. He said he watched a dude just strip naked and walk off into the French Broad, and they never seen him again. And they found the guy's clothes, but they never found him.
Dang, was that in Iota?
No, French Broad's up in the northeastern part of the state. But what's that? What prompted me to write that one or write about that one was when these hurricanes came through. That's where I was sent to rescue people. Was the French Broad and the Nollichucky River.
Oh yeah, did it flood real bad up there?
Oh, it was devastating. There's 2-story houses, people stuck on the roof.
Dang.
So it flooded bad, and I was listening for some old bitch to sing. I'm like, she starts singing, I'm gonna lock these guys up, not let them, not
I'm paddling out of here.
That's crazy, man. Another one that stuck out. Go ahead, Daniel. I'm just reading ahead here. Go ahead, buddy.
One of the ones that I remembered, I think it was about last week. It was the guy who had the wife that was in the wheelchair, and he ended up killing the wife. And then they said that on foggy mornings or whatever at the cemetery she's buried at, sometimes you can see wheelchair marks in the grass.
Yeah, that one was cool. Yeah,
that was wild. And that page that I was on to like research that, there were like several pictures of, like, how a dude will settle on the grass.
Yeah.
2 lines, and there wasn't any footprints behind them. It was just 2 wheelchair, like about as wide as a wheelchair going through there, and like people see it all the time.
And you were saying that was somewhere around Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, that was I don't have it right in front of me, but it was right there at a cemetery in Chattanooga.
That's cool stuff.
And I don't mean to make light of it, man, but if I die and I'm a ghost and I still can't get out of the wheelchair, man, that's bull crap. I mean, at least let me float around. You're going to still have
It's like an episode of Family Guy.
Oh, God.
We're talking about, they're comparing Joe with Hitler, and he said, they said, would you rather be Hitler or something else? And he said, wait, if I'm Hitler, am I still in a wheelchair? And he's like, yes. He's like, why? So.
Okay. Got another one for you, Adam. Headless Annie.
Headless Annie.
A young girl was murdered up in Harlan County, Kentucky.
Yes.
Yeah, Honks Black Mountain in Harlan. So tell us about that one. I like, when it comes to kid ghost, I'm all about that. So tell us about that.
If I remember that one correctly, because I get it mixed up, there was another one where a girl caught fire on the railroad tracks.
Oh, dang.
And jumped off. And sometimes I get those 2 mixed up.
So you were saying that the Headless Annie, if I'm remembering right, was her dad or somebody went against whatever. I guess
that's right. He went against the coal company.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was going to join the union, and they killed her whole family in front of her. And then to keep her from telling, they raped her, killed her, and now she haunted the coal company. But the coal company's gone, so that coal company's gone, but she still roams the hills of Harlan County, Kentucky.
Yeah, anytime you get killed like that, you're gonna haunt something, or you better haunt something.
Oh yeah. And the Bell Witch was.
Yeah, let's hear about the Bell Witch.
What I've been told is she's the only witch that has actually, or the only poltergeist that has ever actually like done physical harm to people.
Yeah, she used to smack that kid.
Yeah,
smack that kid and stuff.
Yeah, she smacked one. There was a movie about it, and I can't remember which movie it was.
I know they loosely based the Blair Witch off of it, I think, but isn't it the only documented case of a of something paranormal causing a death, not necessarily killing somebody, but caused the death of somebody? Or am I just dream that?
Yeah. They supposedly his medication had got switched or something, and
Yeah.
it killed him.
Yeah, and and the stress that it caused him put him on medication. John Bell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
And
movie that you talk about, I think, was The American Haunting.
that
or
was
A
it.
Haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. That was it. And the Blair Witch Project was basically or loosely based off of it. And I was real, I was stoked about that one. And then when it came out and I watched it, I was like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, because there was 20 minutes of that snot bubble in that girl's nose, at the
I'm
end.
so scared.
That was an awesome. Let me tell you something about that movie right there, though. When it came out, y'all gonna make fun of me, but I had this distinct experience of going to the movies and watching that movie, thinking it was real. Now and then when I went to the theater, I was like, "There you go, paranormal's real. We can't just dispute it now." Then you get home and you start watching TV, and you're like, "Wait a minute, I've been duped here."
Yeah, because one of them's been in a movie after that.
Yeah.
And then, another thing about this region is we have a lot of cryptids. Bigfoot, Mothman, the trying to remember the Wampus cat, which I don't know. So there's always been told that there's Black Panthers around here, and I can't speak that there are Black Panthers here, but I can tell you that there are cats in this area with footprints that are huge. I mean, me and my dad saw one. It's hard to tell on screen, but it was way bigger than any cat print that I'd ever seen. And growing up hunting, fishing, and trapping, we did a lot of tracking. Well, a cat, when it walks normally, even if you look at your house cat's prints in the dirt, there's no claw marks in them because they don't retract their claws unless they're hunting. And we saw a cat print that was much bigger than a cell phone. And we put stuff next to it to do size comparisons. Like it was bigger than a hatchet. And Dad took those pictures to TWRA. He said, "Now you tell me there's not mountain lions here. I'm asking you to tell me what this print's from." And they said, "Oh, that's a bobcat." And Dad said, "Well, that bobcat's the size of a fucking Buick because it's a big cat." So I know that there are large cats out here somewhere.
Well, I don't. The only time that I ever saw anything like that was right behind my house. There's a little road that cuts, and you can kind of take a shortcut over to 411. Yeah. And on that little road, right before you cross the railroad tracks, okay, it kind of does this S curve thing, and I come around that. Okay, so all right, you kind of come around that S curve, and I looked, and there was what looked to me like a very large black cat that was slinking like it was in hunt mode or something that was going across the road. Yeah. And I mean, this thing was bigger than any normal house cat I've ever seen. And it was just real quick. It was almost like I didn't see that. I didn't just see that. And it crossed the road and went over into the field. And of course, by the time I got up to where it was crossed the road at, it was long gone, And I never did know what that was. And I never did think anything about Black Panthers around here, but I mean, that thing was huge and it was black, and it was walking, just like, you would see a house cat in hunt mode.
Yeah.
And I mean, this thing crossed the road and I saw it for about 2 seconds.
Right. Like I said, I can tell you the print that I saw was a cat and it was huge. Now, I can't tell you what color it was, but now it was a very large cat.
And I wouldn't care what color it was if it was that big. I'm still running away, and the trail behind me is going to be brown, no matter if it's grass or what.
Yeah. And
this thing that I saw was a pretty sizable cat.
Oh yeah, and when I was a little kid, I wanted more than anything to believe in Bigfoot. But with the invention uh, of trail cameras and talking to biologists, because biologists were talking about trying to save the Florida panther. He said if you ever have an endangered animal, he said the minute that you find out they're endangered and you start trying to do research to help them, they'll start getting hit by cars. He goes, we've never had a Sasquatch get hit by a car. We've never got one on trail cam. But a piece of me still wants to believe in that. But I'm just
Adam,
saying,
Adam, do you know who Art Bell is? Have you ever heard of Art Bell?
that name sounds really familiar. Is he from around
Art
here?
Bell, Art Bell was a nighttime radio host, which is the reason why I came up with the idea of doing this podcast we're doing right now. Because for years, he done shows over aliens, Bigfoots, ghosts. I mean, he's the godfather of nighttime radio. He died in 2018, but after this podcast, I challenge you to go. He had a show where he talked to this guy named Bugs. Just think of Bugs Bunny or something like that. His name was Bugs. And this guy Bugs claims he killed some big feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look, I ain't saying that he really killed some big feet, but if you'll listen to this guy and you've worked in law enforcement and stuff like that, I like to think I could pretty much tell when somebody's lying,
Right, right.
This guy, either he really killed some big feet or he believes what he's saying. Let's put it that way.
Right, right.
And it's a real good show, man. You need to go look that up. If I can think, I'll find it and send you a link to it later. But, I'm like you. I want to believe in Bigfoot. I don't really see how. I think with today's technology and drones and trail cams, we surely would have caught one by now.
And
But,
everybody's got cell phones.
yeah, I mean, but if you listen to this show, man, this guy, because he claims he killed it and buried it and all that good stuff. But it's a long show. You'll have to listen to it. But yeah, I mean, it makes me think. I ain't saying they real, but I'm just saying they may be something out there.
He's not the hide and seek world champion for no reason. I mean, there's a reason why they call him that. He's got the belt.
A long time ago, I used to post this thing. I saw a post is talking about how Bigfoot is real, and he does business with the Girl Scouts of America for cookie recipes, and they protect him. And it was just like a joke. And this one lady who I guess was some higher up in the Girl Scouts, she said, all of this is false, and some girls need to remember the contracts that they've signed and the oaths they've taken to the Girl Scouts. And and so I ran with this whole conspiracy about how the Girl Scouts, had Kennedy killed. They covered up Roswell. And
Adam, I'll tell you this, buddy. Since you mentioned Roswell, Art Bell, which I just spoke about a while ago, he was getting older. I think he was like 75, 76 years old. And right before he died, he had this other host coming on to take over the show. Her name was Heather Wade. Well, they were doing this campaign over the summer of 2018 that they were going to take Roswell. They wanted to get 100,000 people to show up. They said, look, they can't arrest everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this, he was dead in 3 months.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the UFO thing, and I've told this plenty. I told my mom about it earlier today because I've been just real excited about coming on here. Now, I was in a tree stand one time. When it gets dusky dark, but you can't see the stars, but you can see the moon before it gets real dark.
That's a twilight time.
Yeah. So I saw what I was thinking was the Northern Star because I could see it. It was the only thing that I could see in the sky beside the sun and the moon, and it was as bright as a star. And I was watching it. I was just looking at it, and it did this right here. It went and gone like a comet.
Wow.
And disappeared out of the skyline. And of course, me being the superstitious old he'll be like, I got down out of that tree, and I went home. It's easier to attack a hillbilly at his house than it is in a tree stand. So
you got that right, man.
I have more ammo at home than I do in the trees.
There's a lot of shady stuff can go down in a tree stand too, man. You know.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. And but yeah, there's all kinds of things that, and like you said, I still want to believe in Bigfoot, and I'm not saying that he can't exist places where there's almost no human contact. There's places in the Pacific Northwest and the Yukon Territory that has never, if they have seen a human, they go years without seeing any more.
Right, right. Oh,
But
and I'll tell you this, Adam. Not only did Art Bell mysteriously died because he mixed up his medicines the wrong way, which that's not going to happen. But the Heather Wade, the lady that was going to take over his show, she disappeared, and they claimed that she went crazy and lost her mind. So
She
all of a sudden,
disappeared, so
yeah,
nobody knows where she's at.
she recently just showed back up. I just noticed the other day that she's got another show coming out. But I'm telling you, when she disappeared, it's been since 2018. I haven't heard from her, and they claim she went crazy and she's been in a hospital somewhere. And she just now showed back up. I don't know what the deal with her. I've not listened to her since then, but I thought it was
Dave
awful.
Chappelle treatment.
Yeah, hey,
Well, that's what happened with Jack Ruby. Oswald killed Kennedy. He shot Oswald on live TV, and then when they went in there to talk to him after a visit from his doctor, he was nuts. Like he was in the courtroom, and they were asking him, could you tell us anything? He's like, man, I can't say nothing because they're going to kill me. He said, who? He said, the guy's in my cell. He's like, well, you're in a cell by yourself, right? No, man, there's 3 guys in there with me. Like they told me. I mean, he was nuts,
Yeah. It's like on that movie Shooter said sometimes, things aren't always what they seem. It's like Pamela Lee, Married for Love.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so did Anna Nicole Smith.
That was it. That was the one she said. I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying whole direction with it, but hey, that's another story.
I think I'm probably on a few watch lists, but I don't think I've convinced them to give me a lobotomy or nothing yet.
Well, if the government knew what I was thinking half the time, I'm pretty sure I'd be on a couple of those lists too. But
the way it's
Go there now.
about guns and taxes, we don't need him, getting too loud. So another local legend that I thought about, Adam, and you may know a lot about it, or one of you guys may know a lot about it. But what was it called? Was it called Tenpenny Hollow or something like that? They used to Can Hollow, yeah. And this chick was burying babies in coffee cans. Is that true? Yeah,
or is that just
that is absolutely true. She was almost as bad as Ed Gein.
That was an Adams, right?
Yeah, and she's buried. She's buried somewhere around Meigs County. But yeah, that happened. That like there's documentation of that. And I was
Go ahead, bud.
No, I'm still researching it, but yeah, there's reports.
Yeah, Larry, the guy that came on and done the ghost hunting show, he's actually wanting to go do some investigations up there where I guess he knows where it all went down. And I told him I was down, just let me know. I'll go up there and dig up some tin cans.
Well, man, they'll have to use a 50-gallon drum for Larry. They can't get him in a coffee can. He don't want to get dead, man. You don't want to be unalived by trying to dig stuff up. Yeah.
But Tin Can Holler was a bad one. And I mean, there's been all kinds of grisly murders around here, like real bad ones. But Tin Can Holler was probably one of the worst. Like I would rank her up there. Y'all are familiar with Ed Gein, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's about the same level as him. Yeah, that's a match made in hell right there. Those two.
Have you got everybody's heard of we had a serial killer in Tellico named Joe Shepard. You remember him? You ever heard of him?
Yeah. Here's on Unsolved Mysteries, and I remember watching it with my grandmother, and everybody every time we go to Tellico Save-A-Lot, I'm like, "Hey, him."
There he is.
And he went
to the mix section.
He went to Canada and got caught, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have a clue how he got caught.
They found him up in Canada.
Wasn't he burying them in the back of his mama's yard or something like that? Because I think he killed one of my mom's friends. And
they found one or two there, but he actually was under investigation from killing a girl out in the woods too, where he'd give her a ride home or something.
Yeah,
And,
apparently he confessed to several others.
Did they kill him in prison, or he is still sitting there to this day?
He's dead, but I think he died from old age. I don't think they actually put him in Sparky.
I know. I used to work with his daughter at Mastercraft, so it was kind of
Really?
yeah. And she was nice. We'd always look at her like, "What's up?"
I was bringing extra Snickers bar and slide it to her, be like,
And an extra clip just in case.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's one of those people you never hope to hear from and be like, hey, don't come to work tomorrow. What?
Yeah, you got it. I will not be here.
She was cool as shit. You'd never know. And then one day somebody told me, hey, that woman there, that's Joe Shepherd's daughter. And I was like, dang, are you serious? That's crazy. Yeah.
Well,
my world,
It really is. Y'all have seen the show Band of Brothers?
Yeah, I saw.
Captain Winters.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
My great uncle knew that guy and said he was a prick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was captured. He parachuted into D-Day and was captured by Germans and got the hell beat out of him for about 2 weeks and escaped and made it back to the Allied forces. He said, I thought, they'd patch my foot up. They run a bayonet through his foot. And he said, I figured they'd patch me up and send me home. And no, they patched me up. And then when I could walk good, they said, here's your rifle and a helmet. Get back to the front.
Get back out there, boy.
Oh.
So, but yeah,
that was cheaper than sending somebody else back across on a boat,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Adam, tell me about the Mothman. If people see the Mothman, that always means something's bad is going to happen, right?
Yeah. Apparently, he signaled people from disasters. He's a cryptid, and there's a big, huge festival in was it West Virginia? I'm pretty sure. West Virginia or Virginia?
West Virginia, yeah.
Yeah, they have a huge Mothman celebration to celebrate him.
Wow, I didn't think nobody would like that guy. That's crazy.
Now,
apparently, he signals them to danger, but whenever he shows up, that's when bad shit happens. But the two kids that he scared the very first time was, a bridge had went out.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. What was the big thing that he signaled? I think it was bridge collapsed or something.
Bridge collapsed, and I'd have to look back now because I'm so excited to be on here. I'm forgetting part of the stories. That's why you guys remind me of the stories about. Oh yeah, that's what happened. So, and I think one of them was maybe a mine collapse.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that sounds about right. Yeah, I've heard that one.
Is the deal that he shows up as it's happening, or there's not enough time to really avoid it, or what?
I think he shows up, and then after he leaves, then it happens.
Okay, so basically, if you see the Mothman, you just got to stop whatever it is that you're doing and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
First thing I would do is turn off the lights because moths love lights. I mean, Bridges got lights. Down there in the coal mine, they got little lanterns, and birds to let them know if the gas is too high. He was attracted to the lights. So if you go out in the dark, you leave your light off.
I can see that.
Motel
That makes
6.
me want to quit coon hunting when I was a kid.
Well, as long as you ain't got a light, you're good. Mothman ain't coming. He's gonna get that other hunter that's trying to get your attention. Hey, I'm over here. Don't shoot me.
Go get that guy. He's a Thuka Brock Call.
Yeah, that guy's letting everybody know I'm here.
And there's several hauntings reported around the Cades Cove area.
Oh yeah, I bet there is.
People see people walking up and down that place all the time.
So yeah, my wife was actually watching a TikTok video, and it was from some person, some woman that was from out of state, and she said she was talking about how scary Cades Cove was, and that's what got my wife's attention because, we go up there and we ride around Cades Cove, and of course, Bree and her mom and dad and her whole family go up there and they see bears and they see deer and all kinds of stuff. I've been up there 30 million times and I ain't seen crap. Okay. But you've got this person that's on TikTok all of a sudden that's talking about, some of them cabins over there they were around getting some pictures and whatnot, and then they kept seeing people, and it was kind of like they were seeing shadow people and whatnot, and so whenever they kind of got creeped out, and they started driving out of it, and then they started getting followed by something. And she was telling a story, and I mean, I didn't have any kind of idea, neither did Bree, that there was any kind of hauntings that was going up there. So we thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, and Tellico Lake it covers up several hundred Native American graves and a lot of people's old homesteads, and they say that sometimes you can see stuff on the lake that's real creepy.
Hmm.
And I didn't see it, but we were bear hunting in Tellico one time, and we were real close to the river, and my buddy said a guy stepped out. He said he didn't look right, like he was dressed like old, like 1800s, early 1900s clothes. He said, and I said, "Hey man, you bear hunting too?" And he didn't have any orange on. He said, "You bear hunting too?" And he said, "No." He said when he turned, like half his scalp was missing, his head was busted open.
Oh man.
He said, I yelled, "Shit, man, are you all right?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." He walks off. He said, and I ran to, go make sure the guy was all right. And he said, and then he wasn't there. Now, I didn't see that. My cousin did.
Dang, that's
Very
crazy.
crazy.
So
That's some Sixth Sense kind of stuff right there. Hey, let's go play with my dad's gun. No, I'm good. I'm gonna stay in here in the living room. Turn around and bam.
Speaking of living room, Travis, over at your house, well, where you live in Etowah, and go over there. You remember all them pictures of the Indians that they had that was sitting and hanging up in the living room, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter where you were at in the room. It looked like they were looking at you.
Yeah, it was
that always freaked me out.
I don't know where those pictures went either. Mom gave me all that, like all the Indian plates and stuff that she always collected. I used to draw them when I was a kid, and she gave me all that. But we don't know what happened to those three pictures. I remember what you're talking. One of them was Chief Joseph. I don't remember who the other two were, because my grandpa was born on the Cherokee Reservation, North Carolina. So he was always raised, his mama was at least half Cherokee and all that. So he was raised Cherokee. He did all the stuff that was expected of a kid grew up in reservation over there, got a government check every month, all that.
Can confirm you're supposed to have like those portraits on your wall. We had one at Geronimo.
Yeah. Fast forward to Ancestry DNA, and I get my results. I should have been born with a great credit score, because I'm white as you can get, like 70% English and Scottish and Irish and Scandinavian, everything but Native American.
Dang fuck, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up like proud, man. That's where we got this dark skin, black hair, all that. We're Cherokee Indian, proud of it. Then we find out we're liars, man. We was heartbroken. Man, mom still gets mad about it.
Now you have to watch those 23andMe and those Ancestry.com ones, because I watched the guy do this. Yeah. He swabbed an iguana's mouth. An iguana, like a fucking lizard, and sent it off. And and that iguana came back Scandinavian.
He might have been born in Scandinavia. You never know.
He couldn't talk because he would have took the land before we could have. I'm telling you.
Bjorn the iguana.
There was a guy that I know that was talking about, he sent his stuff off and it come back Neanderthal or something.
Yeah.
He said it was Neanderthal. I was, what?
They do say that there's 1 to 4% of the world population that still has Neanderthal genetics in them, because they interbred with whatever the hell we are.
I bet I'm eat up with it, man.
So you gotta be. You gotta what?
I should be on one of those insurance commercials, man. I bet I'm up with it.
Being part Neanderthal is probably what kept you from being on the back of a milk carton, dude, growing up.
should have been on a milk cart, neither one, you know.
I've been told that they think I'm Neanderthal because of the way I eat steak. So
Shit.
Well,
rare the better, baby.
that's what Dad says. He said, knock the horns off, wipe his ass, put it on my plate.
Walk me through a warm room, maybe all right.
Oh, God. Look, I like a little pink, you know what I'm saying, but I don't like no blood. Dang.
Bring it to me. I'll hack off what I want.
Good vet can bring it back.
Hey, I'm a communist, man. I put ketchup and steak sauce on mine. But first, I mean, now I learned this in the Navy. If you go to eat anywhere, you taste it before you put anything on it. Then after that, it don't hurt their feelings because you at least tried the way they intended for you to taste it.
Right.
So I always do that every time I go out to eat, and then I load her down with ketchup.
Well, here's what I've always been told. If you have to put steak sauce or anything on a steak, the chef has failed.
Oh, no. See, I disagree
Yes.
1,000% because I have the eating habits of a 6-year-old. I still eat a bottle of ketchup a day, okay?
You know what, Travis, you do, and I'm not going to argue that point because you will eat a bottle of ketchup per setting. So
Dude, when I was going to be a rock star in Nashville when I was 19, I moved away. I was out there living in a townhouse. None of us had a job. And I lived off ketchup, mayonnaise, and beer for 6 months. It can be done.
what'd you do? Go into McDonald's, just grab some packets and leave?
There was a truck stop up the road, and they always had them things sitting out because they had made hamburgers and all that. We'd go in there and get that. And then there's another guy that lived with us. He steal a case of beer. That was his job. His whole job was walk in there and we'd have the door waiting for him. I mean, we was broke. They made it sound like you go to Nashville, as soon as you hit the city limits, they're giving you a record deal. No, that is not what was happening. I mean, they'd come down here and built me up so much. I thought, man, what record company's lucky enough to have me? I went up there, damn near starved to death. Like, boys, I believe the Navy life is for me. I will be a pirate from now on.
Yeah.
I lived with Daniel's brother, and we survived off warm beer and cold pizza.
They complement each other too.
We get those little $1. It wasn't even Tostinos. It was little $1 personal pizzas that get the same lot or same lot brand.
Good times.
That's funny.
Well, hey, Adam, before we cut out tonight, what do you think? What's your final thoughts on the paranormal here in the Appalachian area? Do you think there's anything to it? Do you think it's just local legends? What's your final thoughts on it, buddy?
And after listening to the ghost hunt or the paranormal episode, it got me to thinking, and I think there's too much that we can't explain to just dismiss it altogether. I definitely think that forces beyond our regular understanding are here. Whether they be good, whether they be evil, they're here. And I think that everybody, if you haven't come in contact with something that you absolutely can't explain, then you're not paying close enough attention. I think there's possibilities for all these things, because in every legend, no matter how far fetched, there's a grain of truth in every one of them, and there's just too much that we can't explain, even within the realm of science. Like I told you, that little star that zipped and was gone, I can't tell you what that was. I know it wasn't an airplane. Ain't no airplane move that fast. So when it comes to cryptids and UFOs, while I try to remain a skeptic because I try to fix reason in their seat and always call on reasoning, sometimes there's things you're not going to reason your way out of. Like I remember Daniel's in Ricky and Daniel's room, the ceiling fan just come on from nothing.
So we had a box fan that was I think probably the ceiling fan went in after I had left. If they still have a ceiling fan up there in that room, but the box fan that we had was sitting in the window. There was no central heat and air back there, so yeah, it was very hot up there. So you could say, yeah, it could be the motor overheating, but I know that happened 100 times. That fan, you'd be sitting there, and it was always when you least expected it.
Right.
It was always like you're just talking, just like what we're doing now. All of a sudden, the fan just stops, and so
Right.
everybody kind of looks over. Is like, okay, and then you'll finally you'll flip the knob. It ain't doing nothing. You'll unplug it, replug it up. It's not gonna do anything. So you think, okay, we ain't got no fan no more. So now you're talking. About 30 minutes later, the fan just comes on. That happened all the time.
And the
I don't
windows.
think it was the engine going or the motor getting hot. I mean, because when I was growing up, I had a fan that didn't turn off for 13 years.
Right.
If it wasn't on high, the power was out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
I've got one like that at the house now.
Yeah, me
It would,
too.
I mean, if you talk to a hardcore skeptic, they're gonna find a way to debunk, whatever. But the fan going on and off in my room, it was just something that I never could explain logically.
Right. And
Just couldn't do it.
and I've seen things that I can't explain logically, like the light hunting. Can't explain that. Can't explain that. I've seen things that are not supposed to be that are. I know I've seen them. So I truly believe that there's things that we're never going to be able to explain, and they're not of this realm or this understanding.
I agree totally, man. I agree totally.
Oh yeah.
Well, Adam, we want to thank you for joining us tonight, man. I have enjoyed listening to your stories, man, and I'm sure everybody else is going to enjoy them when we get this show posted. We'll have to have you back on. Let's do it again sometime, man.
I'd love it, even if it's just old Appalachian stories or anything like that. I enjoy it.
you can come on here and talk about whatever you want to, Adam. You can talk about how Inglewood sucks if you want to. It's whatever.
We're talking about bills, man. I remember that. And you're talking about the whole lunch thing.
Here we go. It never fails. Let's hear it.
Dude, no, same boat. It's almost like me and Corky lived the same life, just a few different years apart. And the lady you're talking about, Daniel, that turned you away, wouldn't let you. That was Lisa Watson. She was meaner than crap, man. That old woman was.
What'd she turn you away for? I missed that. Huh?
Walk up there for seconds. If your plate wasn't clean,
I done forgot about that. Yeah, I went up there for seconds. It was
She wouldn't give me no mashed potatoes.
she wouldn't give me no mashed potatoes, man. No, I went up there and I ate my mashed potatoes and I still had peas on my plate. That was the only thing that was on the plate.
I remember
And I
one
took
time.
it up there and she says, "You didn't clean your plate. I'm not going to give you anything. It wasn't mashed potatoes." She says, "I'm not giving you anything.
You clean your
Go
plate.
clean your plate." So I said, "Okay." And I've got this figured out. I went to Justin Lee and I said, "Here, take my peas." He's like, "I don't eat peas." And I said, "I don't care." Just scrape the peas off in his plate.
Just hold my
And I
peas.
took it up and I was like, "Okay, I got you beat." So walk up there and she says, "You've done been up here once." And I was like, "Yeah," and you turned me away. "No, I give you something. You're coming up here for thirds." And I'm like, "You didn't give me anything."
She acted like it came from her house.
And so she says, I'm gonna give you these potatoes this time, but don't you ever try that again." And I'm sitting there going, "Try what? I
What?
did what you told me to."
Adult gets mad at a kid for wanting some mashed potatoes, man.
Man, she did. She got mad at me. And
That's
I
why I
was
don't like drive-through. That's why I don't like drive-throughs. You go in there, "Hey man, can I get some ketchup?" No. What, we rationing up in here? Well, I didn't know they was having a draft next week. I can't get no ketchup.
unless you go to Chick-fil-A, man, and then you got too much ketchup.
Well,
No, there's no such thing.
Travis comes in, they're probably like, "Oh God, here comes that ketchup guy again."
Hey,
It's the ketchup guy.
we came back from Bald River Falls one time. Me and Corky and a bunch of us did. We was in high school, and we went through the Madisonville, and I told that chick through the speaker, I was like, "Listen, I want you to put an embarrassingly amount of ketchup in there. Whatever you think is too much, put some more in it." We got that bag, and they was giggling. I was like, "I guess they spit in the sand." Dude, we had to dig through 40 pounds of ketchup packs just to get to the food. We went back and said, "Yes."
that woman that we were talking about, my papa one time, because my papa he wasn't doing too bad, So he would every now and then he'd just give me. He's like, "Hey, you want ice cream today?" Shit, yeah. So my breathing, yeah, I want ice cream. So he gave me ice cream money one time, and she said, "Where'd you get money for ice cream?" What do you get?
What? I can take my money. Yeah, cause them cook quarters don't spend the same as a Derek quarter, you know.
Yeah. Dude, didn't you money? Look, I got free lunch, and if it was anything extra, I didn't get it, man, because there wasn't no money at my house. I promise you that.
No, we got the Rose Art crayons.
Yeah, I had it all.
Oh, the thing that always made me mad at lunchtime is you got some popular kid's parent, whoever it would be. I think they took turns. They would go buy them McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
And it was like for 5 or 6 of their friends, So you've got this popular end of the table that's eating McDonald's or Hardee's or wherever the hell, and everybody else is sitting over here can't get mashed potatoes from the lunch lady, and you're sitting there going, "Man, kiss my ass."
Your mom ever tell you we got McDonald's at home?
Do what?
When I was growing up, we wasn't even poor. We was po. We couldn't afford the OR.
Yeah.
And the hamburgers I had growing up was, Mom made them big old patties. I mean, they get you full, get halfway through it, and we eat it on bread, and it'd be gray and soggy, man.
Yeah, because grease would soak through the bread.
Best hamburger you ever ate.
Hey, look, man, if you went to Inglewood School back in the day, there was one way everybody knew you was poor. And Adam, I don't know if you know about this, but I've told this story before. There's this thing called the Bloom Fund. Yep. And sometimes you'd get signed up on the Bloom Fund. I don't know if like some church would do it, some teacher would sign you up, whatever. But how you knew the Bloom Fund kids was like one day they're out there in their ratty clothes and all that stuff, and then they'd take us all out of school, and the next day we'd all be sitting there with new shoes on and look around you and say, "There's your Bloom Fund kids," because they all
the first pair of Nikes I ever had, man.
Bloom Fund. Hey, did they take you in my day, they would take us over to Holden Sporting Goods and let us buy it there. But, I freaking Bloom Fund. I wonder if they still do the Bloom Fund up in
Shoestrings over there cost $50.
Yeah, I know. You go to Holden Sporting Goods, you go in there with some Bloom Fund money, come out with a pack of underwear and T-shirts. That's all you can get.
Flashlight, a spider ring.
Yeah.
But I was one of the kids that when they went around like, what? How they pay for lunch? Charge.
Oh yeah, that was the worst, man, because you would go into class, and when you had a substitute, right? Because the teachers would know, right? They wouldn't mess with you. But when you had a substitute, you'd be sitting there like, because they'd be going down the line, you'd be like, "God dang it!"
You downed out if sub was in there. It's like, oh
yeah, they'd be like, "Mr. Derek, how you paying for your lunch?" Charge. No one good to know you pay for your lunch. Charge anyhow,
I remember when I grew up, you had those episodes about your favorite TV shows as a kid. We had 3, 10, and 12 was the only TV channels we had until I was in the 5th grade and we got a satellite, and that sucker would move. Like you'd change the channel on the satellite and you run outside and the damn satellite would move.
Yeah. That was one of those big ones, right? One of them big,
yeah. My dad got a job in Nolan. We thought we was shitting in high cotton when we had a moving satellite at the house.
Yeah, boy. If you had one of them, you was, because that was big time back in them
moving
days.
Satellite. It was funny because I used to mow that front field right in front of my granddaddy's old place, and actually, Ricky had his trailer set up there at one point. That's that same field that I used to
that's
mow.
where I'm sitting now at my sister's place.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
my sister bought it.
All right, so in your backyard right now, okay, it's where my papa's brother used to have a big satellite, and I'd be mowing, and that satellite would move. So wherever you'd be coming around one way, and it mess you up because the satellite's moved, and now it screwed your path up. So now you got to mow back around it. And I swear he's doing it on purpose that one day, man. I needed to get that one particular spot that I kept missing. And every time that I would come around, he would have that thing move to where you couldn't get that spot. I I was so mad, man.
That was
I
Uncle
told
John.
my
wasn't it?
granddaddy, I said, you're going to have to go out there and tell him stop changing channels or something. I can't get this thing mowed.
Is that
John?
Is that where that mean guy in the wheelchair lived?
Yeah, that was John. Yeah.
Daniel, I don't know.
Mean.
Matt didn't like him either.
He, he wasn't mean. He's always trying to tell us how to pick up chicks. He's like, man, you just go over and talk to her. Yeah. Where's all these chicks at you're talking about?
I had an uncle like that. Give horrible advice. Daniel, I don't know if you remember, but the only way I got to watch Simpsons as a kid is when I would stay with you and Ricky.
I don't put it. I mean, that's probably true.
Cause
And really, the first time that I ever watched The Simpsons was over at Travis's house, because Travis's dad was the one that was telling my mom about it.
I remember I wasn't allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead. We got satellite TV, but I could watch it at Ricky's. So, like, your house when I was a kid growing up with Ricky was like where I got to do all my delinquency.
Devil's Den.
That's the house of sin right there.
And Ricky, he was always messing with us, right? So he was about to go stay with somebody. He may have been going to stay with you for a weekend or something. And we were still in cable at the time. So we had this cable that was run in through the window. And there was a couple of different wires, and I never did see how they were all hooked together, right? So I never did know how it was all hooked up. I just watched the TV, you know. And Ricky got pissed off at me right before that he was about to go leave for the weekend, and he went and he disconnected all them wires. He said, "You ain't gonna watch shit this weekend, buddy." It took me a half a day to figure out how to put all that crap back together.
Who was that model you had a poster of in your room?
Probably Glenn Danzig.
I had a bunch of them girls that was up.
Yeah.
It was them the ones that you just go to Walmart and buy, you know.
Yeah, but I wasn't allowed to have them. So when I went to your house, I was like, "This is awesome."
And then, see, I don't even need to know what happened in my bed while I wasn't there.
That's why that damn fan was shutting off, man. It was gone. Had that cookie dough in it.
There ain't no telling Ricky that Corky, you didn't you? We ain't hearing a word that you said. You look like a bad Japanese film just now, man.
I was saying there's too much of that stuff goes on in the Appalachian Mountains as it is.
Well, there's the blue people. There's supposedly a group of people in Kentucky that were so inbred that their skin had taken a blue tint to it.
No, it was on
TV.
It was because there was they had some kind of
there's copper or something in the water.
It was a deformation with their red blood cells, and that's what carries your oxygen around your body. And they wasn't getting the oxygen, and that's what gave them that blue hue. Because not all the family members had it, just some of them. But they had to have that genetic mutation.
Have y'all ever seen that? There's a program called Soft White Underbelly where they go to West Virginia and they go across I can't remember their name.
I can't either. Yeah,
the Whites, ain't it?
The Whites, yeah.
Well, the Wild Whites of West Virginia was another one, but this one they was like so severely inbred that all this one guy can do is bark.
Yeah,
and he scares the shit out of me, man.
They ended up busting them because that dude that done that documentary on them. They were actually scamming him for money. The old woman there that could talk, the rest of them real bad. They actually bust because they would always call him. They'd say, "Hey, we're hungry. We need some food," or "So and so died. We need to pay for a funeral." And he would send them money, and he took up a big GoFundMe account for them and everything. And come to find out, she was scamming them, and they took like $50,000 from him. Or this one, the old woman there did. They ain't got
a lot of meth.
Yeah, they was cooking something.
When your mom's your dad and your dad's your brother, you'll have that,
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it.
Uncle, Dad, we're hungry.
But that dude walking, that creeped me out.
Yeah, did you see where they took them to Walmart, let them go shopping in Walmart?
God, that reminds me. So you guys know this guy that I'm talking about, and I'm not going to try to embarrass him. but he hung around the Rocky Top all the time, and he had a lawnmower that he claimed would go 80 mile an hour in the reverse. So that should put us all on the same track of who this guy is. We felt
You're
bad
gonna
for
lie.
him.
You're gonna lie. Make it a damn big one.
Yeah. We felt bad for this guy one time, and he would coon hunt with us every now and then. So we took him to Walmart because I had to get dog feed. And he's walking around, and he said, "I know that girl right there." And this really good looking redhead was walking by, and she had a ball cap on and camouflage clothes. He said, "I know that girl right there. It's my cousin." I'm like, "She's not related to you, I promise you." So leave her the fuck alone. Don't talk to her. And he said, "No, man, I know her. She's my cousin." I'm like, "No, she ain't. Just shut up." And he said, "No." He walks up to her and smacks her ponytail. He goes, "Hey, stuck up." And she turned around and goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And he said, "That ain't you." I'm like, "Oh no."
Oh God.
Spawning him out.
Yeah. Oh man, boy. Hey Adam, we appreciate you stopping by tonight, man. I think it was an awesome show, man. And hey, let's do it again, buddy.
I'm ready. It was a huge honor. I always looked up to you guys growing up, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, we'll do it again, man. We'll figure out something else to talk about, and we'll do it again. We appreciate you, Adam, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, they tuned in, it's the Dude Bash rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode of Journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The Dude Bash, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Life's effects, intertwined, wearing the crown.